Hey class, before we start today's lecture, let's do a little housekeeping. So I'm in student view right now. Again, if you haven't watched this video, which you should have by now, it teaches you how to get or navigate through the class. But I do want to click on the syllabus. Again, you can watch the syllabus video to explain how this class works. And we're going to go down. So right now we are in chapter 4, so we're in week 5 already, which is kind of crazy to think about. It's going to be due, March 7th. By the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want you to start thinking about who you're going to interview for your professional. So in your interview is 20 points or 20% of your grade. It's going to do in April 9th. And I just want to make sure that you guys are all squared away with that. If you're having issues finding someone, please reach out to me. But as you can see, we have some stuff coming up a little later in this class. And I really don't want anyone to feel overwhelmed. So I just want to throw that out there. Please start thinking about interviewing someone so you're able to turn it in on time. But please let me know if you're having trouble finding somebody. Okay. With that being said, we'll go ahead and start the presentation. All right, so assessing your personalities and interests. So this is a shorter chapter, and the reason why it's shorter because it's all about interest profiles. So it's kind of hard to explain. You just kind of have to do it, and that's the beautiful thing about this is you're able to take these interest profiles, and I suggest taking a lot. Take 2, 3, 4, 5 if you have the time. That way you can get a comprehensive plan on what you might want to do. And if you're like, I really want to be like an officer or a doctor, and that doesn't come up in your interest profile for your first, I don't know, 5 or so, that's totally fine. You could still do that, but it's also saying, hey, there's other options out there. Maybe you could check these out as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. And this chapter is pretty short. So I know last week was a lot, especially with the documentary and stuff. So I appreciate you guys watching that, watching the lecture. Your discussion posts have been so good. I'm really enjoying them. So if you haven't taken the interest profiler just yet, go ahead, hover your phone above this and put it on your camera mode. And then you can go ahead and pause this video and take the interest profiler. So what kind of personalities did you have? So again, if this was in person and not COVID, we'd break into small groups and talk about them. And we do a lot of group work in this class. But because we're online, so what shapes your personality? So a guy named John Holland, if you haven't noticed, he's all about interest clusters and how the environment actually helps shape your future careers, your future career choices. So your environment is huge, and that actually goes down to proximity a lot. So if you live by the beach, especially way back when, you might work at like a shipyard, or if it's a remote area, maybe you work as a diver or something like that. So if you're by a body of water, a lot of times your work will be by a body of water. If you're by a rainforest, your work might include rainforest work, logging or something like that. So your environment has a lot to do with it. And your environment doesn't actually have to be your physical environment either. It could be the people you hang out with. Well, I'm a cop because my dad was a cop and my grandpa was a cop, or I teach because my dad was a teacher, or a principal and his dad was a teacher. So you go ahead and do that. Or I joined the military because, my father or mother or grandma or grandpa were in the military. So it could be your environment as far as people as well. A lot of times too, it's activities that you currently do. Maybe you play sports and you want to do something in sports broadcasting, or you want to actually play the sport, or maybe I don't know, something like that. Your hobbies, abilities, and interests. Typically, people don't like doing things they're not good at. So if you're not good at something, you probably don't enjoy it. And if you don't enjoy it, you're probably not going to want to do it for a career. You don't want to do it for 40 plus years. Um, and then I always recommend sample different careers and majors. So one thing I definitely regret for my undergraduate was I was like, oh, I'll have a college degree. I'm going to have a class waiting for me. And that wasn't quite the case. I really wish I did more internships. And yes, a lot of them are non-paid, but you get really paid in experience and you get a lot of networking, which is huge. That I didn't know that growing up. Also, sample different majors. Talk to people who've had those majors and the job outlook and what that might look like. So, these are just some things that might shape what your future major or your personality or interest might be. Is that, let me switch over. Okay. Make sure I didn't go over too many. Okay, cool. Deciding on a major. So a lot of times this is a very hectic part of our young lives or even our older lives if we switch majors or go back to school. So oftentimes students are not sure of what major to pick, but they're forced to pick one. And oftentimes they're not ready. When I first started college, they said, cool, welcome, what's your major? And I had no idea. I love the water, so I chose marine biology. I went and got scuba certified, if I got already told you guys. And I started focusing on my biology stuff, and I realized it's not all about just going on a boat and scuba diving. It's actual science behind microbiology. I guess that's where the biology comes in. So I don't know what I thought. I think I thought I'd be taking people on tours and go like snorkeling and diving. Obviously that's not that. You don't need a college degree for that. But so I chose that, and then I figured it wasn't for me, and I ended up switching majors 6 times before I finished with communications. So again, I felt like I wasn't ready. I chose a major and ended up switching a bunch. I took a lot of classes I didn't need because I kept switching my major. Okay, I'm reading biology, and you take a bunch of bio classes. I don't like this. Okay, I'm going to switch over to econ. I'm going to take a bunch of econ classes. Oh no, this isn't for me. Okay, I'm going to do business. Okay, that doesn't work for me. Okay, I'm going to do psychology, take some psychology classes. As you see, I wouldn't have taken those classes because I didn't have to, only for that major you had to. Another reason why you're forced is financial aid. A lot of times colleges won't give you financial aid, again, which is free money, and we'll talk about that in the future, unless you have a major. So you're almost forced to pick something on the piece of paper or the computer system or something like that. Again, you're more than welcome to change it later, but that's stressful. At least I thought it was stressful. Another reason is you must graduate in 4 years. And it kind of goes with number 3 as far as the stigma. So when I was in college for undergrad, everybody around me is like, you got to graduate in 4 years. You have to graduate in 4 years. So I felt that I already slowed down so much with switching majors so many times. I just kind of powered through it. And I was taking 21 units per semester. Keep in mind, this class is only worth 3. So I'm taking 6 to 7 classes per semester, killing myself to finish within the 4-year span. And I really regret that for a lot of reasons. I wasn't ready to graduate. Plus, when I graduated is when the job market wasn't that good. So I ended up cleaning toilets with a 4-year degree. That's the only job I could get at the time. And I cleaned toilets for the city, making okay money, but it wasn't a passion of mine to say the least. Another one is, it goes hand in hand, is the stigma. It's like, oh, you're wasting your time. I don't know what you're doing in college. You haven't graduated in 4 years or 5 years a lot of times for like engineering or something like that. So if I could give anyone advice, is don't worry about the time, because college is honestly a destination or a journey, not a destination. So enjoy it. Don't let anyone rush you. Unless you have like a really good job waiting for you, then you might want to finish sooner. But that's one thing if I can go back and tell myself is say, hey, slow down. The jobs aren't really there right now anyways. You might as well do some extra internships or take additional classes and minor in something. So does your major dictate your future career? Short answer, no. Only 41% of college graduates use their major in their career. So example, English major does not work as an English teacher, professor, writer, etc. So you could major in history, you can major in just about anything and use it for something else. I know people that majored in history and actually do sales. I know people who majored in business and are a firefighter. So, and I actually had a conversation with the chief of fire from a neighboring city. And I said, hey, I teach a college class. I have some students who are interested in becoming firefighters. What do you recommend? And he said, regardless of the major, I look for a 4-year degree because that shows me that they set out to do something and they accomplished it. He said, I could always teach them the physical aspect. I could always teach them how to fight fires, how to be preventative with fires, but I can't teach them their 4-year degree. So that was actually chief of fire saying that. So let's say you end up graduating, don't feel that you're stigmatized or you're trapped in this box to where, okay, well, I majored in business, I have to work in business. No, if something else interests you and you're able to do that, go for it. A college degree is going to help in other forms as far as your skills of writing, your skills of speaking, although I'm kind of jumbling with right now. But it's going to help you in different aspects. So just be aware of that. So according to Forbes magazine, these are majors that and percentages of students who were offered at least one job by the time they graduated. So computer science, as we know, is huge right now. So 68.7% of students who had this major by junior, senior year, they're offered a job. Economics or econ major, 61.5, accounting, 61.2, engineering, 59. And business administration 54.3. But if we think about it, these are a lot of majors that require you to do some type of internship. So if you're interning at a programming place with a computer science major and they like you, they might offer you that job. For econ, that's a lot of different things you could do with econ. For accounting, that's pretty specific, but maybe you're working at an accounting firm or something and they like you, 61.2%. Engineering, maybe your senior project, you got graded and you started doing hours at an engineering plant. My father's an engineer and he only hires engineers from Cal Poly because that's who he gets to do internships with, and he also grades their senior projects. And then business is so spread across the board that you could find a internship anywhere for the most part. But not to like sway you from your decision just because you see some numbers, but these are the top 5. So let's look at the bottom 5. Communications journalism, 33.8. So that's that's what I majored in. English, 33. Environmental science, 30.5. Although I think that's going to go up drastically, especially with this new administration coming in, wanting to focus on the environment more. Education, 28.9, and then visual and performing arts, 27.8. So these ones are a little bit harder to get into, but if that's your true passion, I say go for it. Again, I definitely encourage you to still do internships though. So in summary, yes, we're already pretty much done. Very short chapter is select something you're interested in. If you're going to work 30, 40, 50 years, you want to be interested in what you do and have passion. If you have passion, a lot of times the money will follow. Take many interest inventories. So take a lot of these just like we took today. There's tons and tons you could do, and it might help you find something that you didn't realize that was even in your wheelhouse or that you might want to do. And again, you don't have to work in the field that you majored in. So again, if you majored in something and you just totally shifted after you graduate and don't like doing what you do, that's okay. Some of the people that my wife went to USC to get her doctorate in occupational therapy, finished a whole doctorate program and decided they didn't want to do it. So they actually, one person's in business, another one I think is in marketing, but it's okay. They finished their degree. And then again, education is a journey, not a destination. So don't feel that you have to finish within a certain deadline. Really enjoy the experience of things and get the full benefit of it. So again, pretty short um, video, but again, take those interest profilers, and I will see you on the next one. Have a good one.